Okay, so let's go ahead and continue with some more medium scale props over here. And what I want to do is I want to get started with our traffic lights, our traffic lanterns, street lights, street lights, that's it. And yeah, let's focus on those first actually. Also like the bus stops, but let's focus on these first. So with your traffic lights, wow, I don't know why it's so slow. Probably it had to load in the entire thing here. There we go. Okay, we have a traffic light here, and what I want to do is I want to start by placing one on the corner here. Excuse me, Unreal, are you doing okay? Okay, strange, I don't know why it was so slow. So here we have like a cool looking traffic light. What we can do is we can turn on snap rotation, because these ones, they would probably be rotated exactly 90 degrees like this. Now what you don't want to do is you do not want to place a traffic light here and just rotate it. That's not how it often works in real life. Often what happens is, let's say that we have one traffic light here, one traffic light here. Is that... yeah, that's fine. And then we would have one in the center on the opposite street. So it would be almost like a zigzag pattern. I like to always think of it like a brick wall, because on brick walls you also have like the zigzag pattern. Now, the cars or the traffic lights would not get out of the way of the cars. So what we need to do is we would need to make the cars out of the way of the traffic light. A little bit like that. There we go. And that's pretty much it. So if we go ahead and grab these pieces, and these traffic lights, they are also... oh, sorry, I keep saying traffic lights. These street lights are also going to become traffic lights in a bit. So what I will do is at this point I will go ahead and duplicate. Move this over here to keep it nice and even. Now we have one here, and what I will do is I will... let's see, it will probably look more interesting in this case if I have one here, because it is quite a long street. So let's see if we have one here, and then have one somewhat in like the center. Well, the center is here, but sometimes it would be nice to just, if they are building the building, to have it a little bit to the side. That's no problem, because having a traffic light exactly on the center, it might not always look nice. I don't know how... let's go into our camera. Yeah, we can try to keep it at the center, but then I will need to move some cars around. So let's see, so we have this car. Let's have the police car just like sitting on the road. You can always go down to your rotation and set it back to 0 and 0, and then maybe move it down a little bit over here. Okay, so the police car, let's move it a bit forward, because else the police would not be able to get out. So yeah, we would have the police car sitting over here. That's fine. Let's turn off snap rotation. And then down here what I want to do is I want to have one traffic light. It probably makes sense to have one close to your walkway over here. Let's have another one here, because we need this one specifically. And the reason we need this one is simply because we are going to have our actual traffic lights against this street light. I know, sorry. I might make this mistake more times still. What I'm going to do is I have one light here, here. I don't know, does that feel like two little lights? It feels like over here we have like a lot, and then all of a sudden I just start going for less and less. Maybe I will do one here. Let's move them up a little bit. Like, it is a main street, so I guess it would make sense to have enough lights. So let's do one roughly also here. And I will move this car a little bit further back, as if that it was going inside, and then this car maybe also a bit further back. Let's have a look. Yeah, that works for me. So we got these lights ready to go, and then over here I would say have one more on the corner, one more on this corner, and then I will have one. But this one I'm not going to have exactly in the center. Or should I? I don't know. It's a bit tricky, like... I guess the building, when the building has been built, they yeah, they can request for the light to be moved. So it makes a little bit more sense to do something like this and not have it sitting exactly in front of the entrance. I don't know exactly how it works in practice, but I do remember sometimes seeing that traffic lights are simply not even anymore because there are entrances and everything in the way. That would be the same as like saying I'm going to make a crossing for the street, but I'm not going to move my traffic light and it's standing right here. Like, that just doesn't happen really. And then I'm gonna do probably like 2 over here. And then of course, at this point you can kind of just like wing it. You can do very precise measurements if you want, simply by placing a cube in between these values and then duplicating the cube, and then every time the cube ends you want to place one of these lights. But honestly, it's so far away, I can just kind of like guess and you probably won't even be able to see it. But anyway, so we now got these lights over here. It's cool that we have like this one traffic light just still sticking out a little bit. I'm going to now go ahead and just like add a bit of variation. So let's see, we have this one. What I might want to do is maybe for this one rotate it 90 degrees to give it like a little bit more of an angle. Then we have this one, and maybe then over here I want to rotate this one also 90 degrees. And then this one also. And that will also make it interesting when we do our traffic lights. This time I did white. And then this one I'm going to go also, let's say 90 here. Something like that. And then this one would also be 90 here. And the reason... yeah, let's do this one also 90 here. And now I'm going to show you. So, we have these traffic lights. And these traffic lights happen to fit exactly on these street lights. So if we go ahead and, for example, duplicate this street light, go down here and grab our traffic light and drag it in here, you can see that that fits exactly, and you can also rotate it. So what I can do is I can rotate this into like a logical place. And then we have over here, we have our traffic light. That's totally fine to have it like that. And now I would say that over here I want to do another one, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. But this time we also have a number 2 version. And number 2 version just has like a single traffic light and not a 4-wheel traffic light. 4 wheels you would only really do on like an intersection. And technically you would even probably like want to move it a little bit like this. I'm not gonna do that with this one because it looks a little bit strange. Yeah, so it's nice to just have it like on the side, and that could also add some extra interest with our camera and composition, having a light source so close by. The only thing that I want to make sure is that it's not blocking. Okay, so it's not blocking like, but my scaffolding is blocking it, but we will work on like the camera angle a bit more once we actually start working on our lighting. So we can have like the traffic light there. We can go ahead and duplicate this. And let's have actually an intersection traffic light, so this one. And this one we can probably rotate a bit. Let's do also one here. Yeah, this one we can rotate a bit so that people can see. Yeah, like it's not perfect, but it will work. Over here we can go ahead and we can go for like a single one. That will just basically tell people to stop at this point. Over here we can do another single one. To tell people to stop at that point. And over here we will do another single one. There we go. Okay, so we got like a few traffic lights scattered around. That's looking nice, like you just get like these yellow dots here and there. So yeah. Great. Okay, those are also done. Now, let's go ahead and go for like a quick bus stop, which I want to have here. When I do the bus stop, it no longer makes sense to actually have a door here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this one for a window. And now if we go to our props, we have like a bus station here. We're going to place that. Probably quite close. Something like this. There you go. Just a nice bus station. And then of course later on we will go in and like place like maybe like a trash can next to it and stuff like that. So we have that one also done. Let's see, that's pretty much it for our medium props. So what I will do is for the rest of this chapter, I'm just going to place some cables. And after we've done that, and those cables, they will kind of just like hang across here, just to give it more of like that Japanese style feel. After we have done that, we will end this chapter, and in the next chapter we are finally going to start working on the neon lights. Now the neon lights are not a small task. When we start working on those, it means that we are also starting to work on our lighting. But I will go over that in just a bit. Just save before the autosave starts interrupting me. And I have over here these hanging cables. So honestly, there's no rocket science to this. You kind of just want to grab a cable, and this is purely just for like a quick view. I'm going to turn off my rotation scale, and it's literally just me going in here and just even do like some uneven scaling sometimes, where I go down here and like quickly scale my cables a bit. And you basically, I'm not too worried about where that they end up, because they are so high up you won't really be able to see it. Just try to end it not inside of a window, but like more in like the corners, because from a distance you will simply get this, see? And that's all I'm looking for. I'm just looking for some random cables that can be hanging around and stuff. And we can go ahead and we can keep doing that. So if here we have like a cable 02. I can also just go ahead and maybe go for like a more straight cable here. And let's say that I then duplicate that and maybe have another one that is rotated and angled a little bit. And I know it's not the easiest thing to place, but it's or this, or you need to create an entire system worth of blueprints that can have your cables dynamically hanging, and that would be quite a bit of extra work. Honestly, I would not even know how to make a system like that, because I'm not a technical artist. But yeah, so we are basically just chipping away, and what you want to do is you want to often go to your camera and try to like play with heights. See? So over here what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to go for like some lower heights. Maybe let's do something like here, I don't know. I'm basically just trying to go for different height variations so that we get this interesting, almost like the entire field is kind of like covered by cables. So if I go for something like, and you can also play around with your pivot point if you want to do like some more object-based rotation, but then you do need to keep switching every time you want to go to your world position. But let's say that we have like another cable that's, you know what, I'm going to just have it like go inside of the wall a little bit. That's often better than just having it floating. So we have like another cable here. What we can do is we can go ahead and let's see. I feel like maybe having like another one here that's like a thin one. So over here we have this really thin one, number 04, which is basically just like almost like a single cable. And let's say that I grab this. Somewhere here. Okay, so we have like a... Actually, you know what? I kind of want to have this one a bit lower. Maybe something like this would be better. Here we go. Yeah, okay, so that's starting to look more interesting. So we got that one. This one over here. I'm not sure I really like it. I feel like it's a little bit too angled. I think what I want to do is I want to go a little bit more straight like this. Yeah, here, see, that feels a bit better. Now let's also go ahead and have another one that angles from, maybe one from this point over here to like behind the sign. If I scale this a little bit, so maybe that will work. Let's have a look. So from here to here. Maybe rotate it a bit. Alright, that actually works quite nicely. I hope that it also looks good on the... Yeah, nice. So that is starting to look quite good. We have like some cables here and there. Now, at this point, I would say maybe have like one extra cable just going closer to these areas. But I would not make the cables too thick at this point, because then they might just make everything feel a little bit too crowded in terms of like where your camera is. So let's move one down there, another one here. Scale it up a bit. Let's have a look. Yeah, so you can just see this camera or just see this cable hanging over here. And then just for consistency, I am going to place one more cable here, even though we probably cannot see it. It just feels like if we have a view where we can see it, it would make sense to have another cable here and not all of a sudden have all of the cables just kind of stop. It would feel a bit strange after all those cables. So let's rotate this a bit. There we go, see? Cool. Okay, and yeah, the reason I wanted to do the cables is because it's easier when there is actual light in the scene. Now what we're going to do in the next chapter is things are going to become a little bit darker. So because we are going to switch this to a night scene, and then what we need to do is we need to place our neon signs. Our neon signs, as you can see over here, they are actually the main source of light everywhere. So this is why it can be a bit tricky. We are going to work with emissive and everything to get those neon signs, but it means that things will look very dark in the beginning. Now, again, the neon signs are one of those things where I did a lot of experimenting. I played around with what colors are best. I played around with which signs need to go where. So that's the nice thing about me already doing that I can show you. However, for you might want to, of course, play around with it, but I will explain to you my thought process. So let's go ahead and continue to the next chapter, where we are finally going to get started by making this scene look a little bit more like, well, this scene. So yeah, let's go ahead and save our scene and continue with that in our next chapter.